This is a peptide sequencing problem for your online quiz, and you'll see that this particular one is 10 amino acids long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we know that we're going to need 10 lines down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We also know that Sanger says Gly, so we know Gly must go first. Looking at the BRCN, we know BRCN cuts after MET. And since this fragment does not contain MET, that's one of the rules, is that if the fragment does not contain the cut after amino acid, which in this case is MET, it must be at the end of the entire chain. We also know that since this one does contain MET, that MET must be at the very end of this fragment because this will cut after MET. So we know that MET will move from here to the end of the chain. Since this particular fragment is 7 amino acids long, we know that MET will be at position 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So MET will go here. We can next look at chymotrypsin, and we notice there are 3 fragments here. Chymotrypsin cuts after Phe, Trip, and here. And the rule is that if the fragment does not contain the cut after amino acid, and this one does not contain Phe, Trip, or Tier, it must be at the end. That's about all we can get from this presently, so we'll move on and we'll take a look at trypsin. We'll notice there are 2 fragments there. One that does not contain arg or lyse because trypsin cuts after arg and lyse. So we know that Gly must be at the end because of what I said earlier. Now, since trypsin cuts after arg and lyse, this arg must be at the end of this fragment. And since this fragment is 9 amino acids long, arg will move from here to the end, and that will move arg to this position. Let's go back to BRCN and look at the other evidence we have. As I stated earlier, these 3 are at the end of the chain because they do not contain MET. Since we already know where arg and Gly are, we know that pro must go here. Earlier, we also said with chymotrypsin that this fragment, arg, Gly, MET, pro, val, must be at the very end, and we have already established the order of MET, pro, arg, and Gly, leaving val at this position here. Next, we can take a look at some of the other pieces in the chymotrypsin, and we can see that we've already accounted for this Gly being at the end, so this must be the Gly at the very beginning. And since chymotrypsin cuts after Phe, Trip, and Tier, Phe must be at the end of that fragment. That means that Phe is here, which leaves cis in this position here. We only have 2 amino acids left to account for, and that's cis and trip. Cis will go here, and trip will go here, because chymotrypsin cuts after Phe, Trip, and Tier, leaving trip at the end of this fragment. At the end, you should probably go through and cut and make sure that the cuts do produce the data that's above. So what I can do is look at BRCN, it cuts after MET. And what do you know? I get 2 fragments, and these 2 fragments match in composition the fragments that are here. If I cut with chymotrypsin, I get cut here and here. And you'll notice again we get 3 fragments that have the right composition. And lastly, if we cut with trypsin, we get 2 fragments again that contain the right amino acids, so we know that our answer must be correct.